What's going on, everybody? Tomorrow is the Baltimore Ravens' final preseason game of the year. Let's talk about the biggest positional battle to watch for. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. And it's Friday, and Saturday is the final Baltimore Ravens preseason game. Unfortunately, we don't have anything like a winning streak to look forward to, but it is a pretty big game for a lot of these players. There's a lot of guys battling for final roster spots, but I want to talk about the battle that I'm most excited to watch because I think this game will have the most impact on who we see making that 53-man roster. Now, let me know in the comment section down below players that you want to make the 53-man roster, but I think that we have to remember a lot of times guys get cut right before so that we can then put certain players on IR or put them on the PUP list. Then we can bring players back. We've done that with Brent Urban in the past where, he doesn't make the 53-man roster, but we know he's going to be playing in games throughout the season. So that's just one of those situations to be mindful of. And I just turned on that light. So for some reason, the lighting in my room got super dark. But we have to remember 53-man roster, yes, it means a lot for these players, but also sometimes there's situations where guys still make the roster, even if they're not on the initial 53. They might be on the roster for game one. But I think the most important battle to look at is wide receiver. The Baltimore Ravens are a team that has taken between 5 and 7 wide receivers every single year. And you look at the players they have, the locks are Zay, Bateman, Aguilar. I think Tylan Wallace is an absolute lock because of his special teams playing. And I would assume Tez Walker is there as well, even though he has been injured. But a lot of players have been showing out. We have Russell Gage, who we signed. Sean Ryan's been playing. Keith Kirkwood's been getting a lot of snaps, especially early in games. Isaiah Washington's been playing. Dayton Wade's been playing very well. Malik Cunningham, Anthony Miller had a very good game number 2. So there's a ton of players to watch, and they all do really different things. If I'm looking at power rankings right now and trying to decide who I think will be there, I think the Ravens will keep 7 wide receivers. So first of all, I think they keep 2 of the following: Deontay Hardy, Russell Gage, Keith Kirkwood, Malik Cunningham, Sean Ryan, Isaiah Washington, Dayton Wade, and Anthony Miller. And as it stands right now, I think I have Dayton Wade sitting at the top of the list. And right behind him, I think I have Anthony Miller because of the savvy route running and, just veteran experience he was bringing to that week 2 preseason game. But Keith Kirkwood has looked pretty good. I think he would be in my number 3 slot. Russell Gage, we haven't seen a lot of, but he's a good player. He's coming back from injury, so he could be a situation where he gets cut, then gets brought back later. But when we're watching this game against the Packers, I think it's vitally important to pay attention to what routes they're running, because if we're giving them unique, dynamic routes, if we're letting them, try going deep, try go underneath, try go over the middle, try and go outside, all of those different combinations show that we're trying to evaluate even more, hey, how do you work in this situation? But if we have someone, say, not saying this will be anyone, but say it's Anthony Miller and he only runs slant routes in the game, that doesn't bode well, in my opinion, for what the Ravens are looking at. If it's Dayton Wade and, he runs a double move deep, he goes underneath, we throw a screen pass to him, we see him over the middle like we have in the last couple of games, that allows me to look at that and say, hey, they really like to see what they have out of him. Also, if we're testing guys out at punt returner, if we're testing them out at kick returner, I think that's showing an interest in, hey, what else can we get out of you if we do put you on the squad, whether as a gunner or return specialist? And I think that's what the Ravens have been doing a lot with their RB3 position. Because Keaton Mitchell is injured currently, we're going to need an RB3 on the roster. So we've seen Chris Collier returning kicks. We've seen Rasheen Ali returning kicks. We've seen Owen Wright returning kicks. We've seen all of them just trying. The Ravens are trying to see different situations because I think that race is also very, very close. Now, I would probably tend to lean that they would go with Rasheen Ali because they use the draft pick, but that doesn't mean that they have to keep him. The Ravens have been known not to keep players that they drafted. Look at Tyler Beatty. He was a player of recent note. Remember when we drafted Ben Mason and everyone knew he wasn't going to make the 53-man roster? We traded Sean Wade, before the 53-man roster. So, we can absolutely not keep players that we drafted, but I think the general tendency is to attempt to keep them. Nick Samick, I feel like, is someone that we would try and keep, but again, we're unsure of exactly what the Baltimore Ravens front office is looking for. We're unsure of what their strategy is for kickoffs, because it used to be very simple. All these guys had experience returning kickoffs and being a gunner for all those kick rules, but now it's new rules. Are you keeping an extra wide receiver to be a gunner on kickoffs? I don't even know if they call them gunners anymore because they start like 10 yards, away from the ball. But, or is that more of a safety position? Are we keeping, Bo Braid because of that? I'm unsure. I don't know exactly what the strategy is. That's something that John Harbaugh, special teams extraordinaire, really what he brings to the table is he has a really good understanding of the special teams and how he wants to do that. So I definitely think there's going to be multiple undrafted free agents that make the squad. I would assume Dayton Wade is one of them, but I could absolutely see the special teams, how they play those as determinant of who actually makes the roster, because it's all new. It used to be you keep, random veterans that are going to be good on special teams, like, Chris Moore and Tylan Wallace. But now it's slightly changed. Tylan Wallace is still a great gunner on punts, so we're definitely keeping him. But for kickoffs, we don't know exactly what we're going to be using. So pay attention to the kickoffs, not just when we're returning, but also kicking. See who's trying to go down and make those tackles. Pay attention to the punts. Pay attention to the routes that they're running. Should be a really interesting game. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, your opinions, who you want to make the team. Thank you so much, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow. I might not be able to do a pregame show. I might be golfing, but I'll definitely do a postgame show and live stream that we can talk about it. Thanks so much. See you again then.